Hello guys, my name is Khan, and actually in today's video I will show you guys that how you can make functions in Visual Basic. So before going towards Visual Basics, I will give you an example and then I will show you guys that what does it mean by making a function in Excel. So suppose you have a column X and X have some numbers in it. So suppose X is 2, 4, 5. So I'm giving some random number. And in the next column, suppose you want to have a square of these values. So if it's here 2, it's here, you want 2 square here, it means 4 here. So one way is doing it that you select the value of 2 in A2 cell and then say square by this. So as you can see that now we have square here, and if I apply it on all the 5 cells, you can see that Excel is doing square of this column A. But in this way I'm writing the whole function. But in some cases, but if you want to make a function of your own to make a square of number, you can also do that. In order to do that, you have to go to the developer in order to create a macro. So in my previous video, I have already told you guys that if you don't have this developer tab, then you have to go to file and you have to go options, and under the option there is customize ribbon. And under the customized ribbon, probably your developer option will not be checked in. Just check in and then say OK, and your developer tab will appear. And after that, in order to create a function in Visual Basic, you have to select this Visual Basic option, click it. So this is the way you can open Visual Basic, by clicking the option. So suppose if I close this window, so there is also a short key to open a window for Visual Basic, which is if you press Alt and then F11. So you can see that I have the Visual Basic application is running now. This dialog box opened up for me for Visual Basic. So now what I have to do, I have to make a function. I have to write down some coding. So in order to do that, if you see, just maximize the window, there is a down arrow here, and if you click this down arrow, there are different options. You have to click this module. Actually, module is a code file, so it will open a window where you will be able to write down your code, and that code will be applicable on your whole Excel book. So by Excel book means that if I go to this page, all the sheets and all this is actually considered as one Excel book. So whatever function you will create will be applicable on this Excel window or Excel book. So I will go back to my code, my Visual Basic window. So now I will create a function. So in order to create a function, there is a command. You have to start with function. So Excel will know that you are going to create a function, and then you will give a function name. So suppose if I want to give it my function, so I'm saying it my function, and then I will use brackets, and under the brackets I will tell Excel that what are the arguments I will be getting in this function. So by the argument means that how many number of values you will be using to produce an output of that function. So in this case, I am just using one X value. So my argument will be just one value. And I'm actually will be using one value, and my function will be outputting also one value. So under this bracket, I will be telling that how many variables I am using to create an output value. For this case, I will be using just one. So I will be saying X. You can use anything. You can say XYZ or whatever you want. I will be saying X here. X as double. So what does it mean by double? So actually each variable have different types. integers, if the numbers are in 1 to 3, if the x will always take 1, 2, 3 or 4 values. If x is taking 1.1, 1.2, then you can use float or double, even if it's taking integer values too. So it's better to take it's better to define that x is as double or as a floating value, because then you will not get an error. But if suppose if I define x as an integer, then if you enter a value, suppose if I enter a value 2.1 here, your function may give you an error. So it's better to consider x as a double. As I told, I'm telling it again, that double is actually the type of the variable, that what kind of information that x will be capturing. And after that, if I go enter space, and then I will write down as double again. So as double, after the bracket, the as double means that my output value, so this part is for the output value, that what will be the output value of this function. The output value of the function will be also double. It is, so the output result could be integer, could be in the decimal values like 4.1 or 4.2. So that's why I'm using double. But if you think that your function will be giving us the value which will be integer, you can also make it as an integer too. But for this function, I will be using it as double. And then if I enter, you can see that that VBA have automatically adjusted your code in terms that your function, which is starting from here, will end it here. So now you will define your function within these lines. And my function name will be my_function, and again it will be taking one argument, but one argument means that it will be taking one value and it will be giving me one value. And now I will be defining my function. So I will write down the function name again, my_copy, and I will write down here my function is equal to, and then as I said that I will be taking a square of x, then I will be saying x and press square and 2. So this is my function. So now if I go back to my Excel file, and if I write down now equal to my, so you can see that my function is appearing here in the Excel now. So if I select it like this and select this value x and bracket close, now you can see that how easily you have created a function, and it's giving you the square of the x value. And now you can also apply this value on the other cells too. And in each cell, your function is working actually in the back end. So before going further, make it a habit that you save your Excel file. So if you go to file and if you say save as, and I will go to VBA videos, and I will be selecting functions in VBA. But before saving it, make sure that you don't save this file as Excel workbook, because you guys just have noticed that I have created a Visual Basic code in the backend. If you will save it as an Excel workbook, your VBA code may get impacted. So always save it as Excel macro enabled workbook. So I will say Excel macro enabled workbook, and then I will say save. So in my previous example, the function that I have created, I have just used one argument. Now I will show you guys that suppose if you are you are trying to create a function in which you will need 2 or maybe more than 2 arguments, how you can do that. So suppose you have a 2 parameters of a triangle, base and perpendicular, and you want to know the hypotenuse of that triangle. So I'm just creating a hypothetical example. Suppose my base is 5, my perpendicular is 6, then 7. So I'm just creating some few examples for you guys. 9 and 12. So now I want to create a function that will be allow me to calculate this hypotenuse. So one way will be that you can make a formula within this Excel here, but the other option is that you can also create a function in VBA. So again, I will go back to my VBA. So this is the part from where I started. So I will saying, so now I'm going to make a new function. So I will be calling it function again. Function, and now I will call it try function. And I will suggest, and there is one thing that I will tell you guys that don't use any numerics while defining the name of the function. So always try not to use numeric. Try to use special characters or alphabets, but don't try to use numeric, because if you will use numerics in the name of a function, you may get an error. So it's better not to use numerics. And then I will be saying, so as I said that I will be needing 2 arguments. So I will be saying x as double. You can, again, you don't need to write down x, you can write down anything you want. X as double, and after that you will be using comma to enter the next argument. Again, for the 2 arguments you need to enter comma first, and then you will write down the next argument, which will be y as double. And then again, my output result is just one result, because when I will put the base of the x value, the base of the triangle and the perpendicular of the triangle, in the end I will be having one value, which will be the hypotenuse of a triangle. So if I go back, so I think before making the function, I will show you guys that what is the formula of calculating the hypotenuse of a triangle. The formula is equal to, then I will be saying within these brackets I will be using the base square plus perpendicular, again square of it, and outside the brackets I will be taking an under root. So for under root I will be using 0.5. So you can see this is my hypotenuse. So this is that I have calculated through making my own formula within this Excel, but I want to create a function to do the same thing. So I will go back to my VBA now, and now I will create a function. I will complete my function now. As I said, that my output of this function will be also a single value, which will be double, and within this function I will be taking 2 arguments. X will be the base and y will be the perpendicular of a triangle. So I will be saying as double, and I will be making an enter. And as you can see, Excel, the VBA have automatically decided have given you this line end function. It means that your function which you are creating is starting from here, ending here, and between that you will make a computation about your function. So I will be saying that this try function which I have creating will be equal to x squared. X is an argument, the first argument, and then I will be saying add y again square, and then I will be taking the under root of both x squared plus y squared by using power 0.5. So now my function is ready, so I can close this window too. So now what I will do, I will try to compare the values through my function and through the formula that I have directly used in Excel. So I will be calling my function results. So I will be saying equal to my. So as you can see, my function is ready to use. I can click it, and then I will be giving the first argument, which is the base, comma, the second, and then I will be closing it down, closing the brackets. So actually I'm using the wrong function. Actually, the function that I've created for hypotenuse is equal to try this function that I have just created, and this function have two arguments. So I will be saying base, comma, the second argument, which is the perpendicular, and now I will close it down and enter. As you can see that my function is creating exactly the same value that I have created, that I have computed by creating a formula, in Excel. So you can see how you can make your life easy by using functions. So I will go back to developer. I will go to Visual Basic, and as you can see that within this module I have created two functions. The first function, which I have named it as my function, have taken one argument. By one argument means that it have taken one input value and it's giving me one output value, which is as double, and I have then created a formula that how this input value will be computed. And in my next example I have created a try underscore function, which will be computing the hypotenuse of a triangle, and within this function I use two arguments, and in the end this function will be outputting a one value. And then I created then I have told VBA that what is the computation of those two arguments to give me the final output result. So this is the way you can create functions. Probably in my later videos I will talk more about how you can compute, how you can make more functions. But in the end, before ending this video, I will tell you guys that this function that I have created, suppose, is equal to try underscore function. This function is only applicable within this Excel workbook. You can't use this function in any new workbook. So in order to use this function in any new workbook, you have to copy this code again and have to put into that new workbook. But there are some functions which are built-in functions in Excel. Suppose like this tdist, t-inverse. These are the functions which are built-in. You can use in any Excel file or in any Excel workbook. But the function that you will be creating in VBA will be more applicable to the workbook in which you have built. So thank you for watching the video.